Hello and welcome to this banking exam prep session. If your aim is to work in the banking sector, you would definitely have gone through the relevant sample question papers to understand the exam pattern. You'll find that the questions basically test your vocabulary and your ability to understand content in English language. So let us start with simple exercises which will improve your knowledge of English. Today we will study the meanings of words in the context of sentences. Look at the given sentence. One word has been placed within quotes. 5 options have been given. If you feel the highlighted word is wrong, select the option which is correct. If you feel the word in the sentence is correct and doesn't require change, choose option E. So let's read the sentence. The school bell rang and in an instant children began to limp out of classrooms. The word which has been placed within quotes is limp. So now when you read the sentence, try to see whether this word is right. Does it fit into the sentence? So you have to see whether from the point of view of context, the word is correct, whether the tense of the word is correct, whether there is any spelling mistake or grammatical error. So you have to identify if there is a mistake in the use of that word. So the school bell rang and in an instant children began to limp out of classrooms. The minute you read the sentence, you come to know that the word limp is not the right word. Because children, when they come out of a classroom, they don't limp. What's the meaning of limp? It is when a person has a difficulty in walking, he walks in a very uncomfortable manner. So that's not the way children come out of classrooms. So limp is wrong. Because it is wrong, you automatically know that the option E, no replacement required, is not needed. So you can just delete it. So now we are left with only 4 options. So let's see the first option A, crawl. Now, is crawl the right word? Definitely not, because children began to crawl out of classrooms. That's not the right word, because crawl means like, you see insects crawling on the floor. That's not the way children come out of classrooms. So that is also wrong. What about B, climb? Now when the school bell rings, children do not climb out of classrooms. Climbing is to go up to a height. So that is also not the correct option. So that is also deleted. Next word, stream. Now what is the meaning of stream? Stream is basically, it has been used like a metaphor here where a comparison has been made. Like you have a stream of water, something which flows out gradually. So here, if you can imagine the scene when the school bell rings, the children, they start coming out of classrooms in a stream. So stream seems to be the right word. But let's have a look at option D also. D is drip. Drip is like water dripping drop by drop. That's not the right answer. So drip is also wrong. So what are we left with? We are left with the correct answer, the correct option, stream. So the option is C, stream. So that is your correct answer for this particular question. So when you read a sentence like this, first try to understand the meaning of the sentence, then go to the word which has been highlighted, see whether it seems to be okay. If it isn't, then go through the options one by one. Let's take one more example. We are amused that he has recovered from his illness. Now the word which has been put within quotes is amused. Now if you understand the context, somebody has recovered from his illness. So what is your reaction when somebody recovers from an illness? Are you amused? What's the meaning of amused? Amused is when you find something very funny. So you don't find it funny when somebody recovers from an illness. So amused is a wrong word. It is not appropriate. So what happens? The last option E, no replacement required, you can delete that. You don't need it. That's not right. Now let us go from A. What is A? Upset. Now when somebody recovers from an illness, you are not upset. Upset is the wrong word. So upset is gone. We go to the next word, excited. Now again here, what is excited? Excited is when you're looking forward to something and there is something great activity going on. This is somebody who has recovered from an illness. So excited also doesn't seem to be appropriate. Which is option C, angry. Now that is totally wrong because recovery from illness does not generate anger. That's not the reaction. So angry is also wrong. So what are we left with? Relieved. Because when someone is ill, you wait for that person to recover. If it takes time, you are so worried. So when he recovers, you are very relieved that he is now okay, he is fine. So that is the right answer in this particular case. So we are relieved that he has recovered from his illness. Answer, the option is D and the word is relieved. Let's see one more sentence. She was so exhausted that she could scarcely sit up in bed. Scarcely is the word which has been put in quotes. Now it can be, put within quotes or it may be highlighted or underlined, but that is the word, keyword, which now we have to look at. Now what are the options? First, when you read the sentence, what is the impression that you get? She was so exhausted that she could scarcely sit up in bed. What's the meaning of scarcely? So you should know these word meanings. Scarcely means hardly. She could, it was very difficult for that person to sit up in bed. So she could scarcely sit up in bed. It seems to be okay. The sentence seems to be okay. But let's look at the options. First word is happily. Now when someone is so exhausted, you cannot happily sit up in bed. So A is not the right answer. What is the second one? Often. She was so exhausted that she could often sit up in bed. Well, somebody who's tired doesn't sit up in bed all the time. So often is wrong. Always. Always is just like often. That you do it a number of times. So she was so exhausted that she could always sit up in bed. A person who is sick or who's very tired would prefer to lie down. So always is wrong. What is D? Enthusiastically. What does that mean? Very happily, very excitedly. So that is all obviously not the right answer. So what are we left with? As we said in the beginning, the sentence looks okay. The word seems to be correct. So no replacement required. The sentence is fine. She was so exhausted that she could scarcely sit up in bed. There's no need for any change. So that is the answer. Option E, no replacement required. Now in this case, we have gone through 3 sentences in which we had one word, which was highlighted, which was put within quotes. Now let us make it a little more difficult. Let us take one step further and see the next set of examples where we have 2 words which have been put within quotes. Now it will be a longer sentence and there will be 2 words. So when you have the options also, there are 2 words. So we have to see that the combination of words fit in properly. So you should know the meaning of both the words. Let us read the sentence. The bus was driven so expert that the passengers could hardly sense the movement over stones and puddles. Now when you read it, you find that, there is something wrong, something somewhere, because read the first part, the bus was driven so expert. Well, it's definitely not the right usage. So when you know that there is a mistake and the sentence is not right, automatically you know that the last option which is given here, no replacement required, doesn't apply because you do need a replacement. Some word or the other has to be changed here. So the bus was driven so expert. Now what is the meaning of expert? I mean, you can have it in any form, but the word expert means somebody who knows his job very well. So if he is a driver, he should be able to drive very well. So now we are actually looking for synonyms for somebody who does his work very well. So let us look at the first word of option A, B, C, and D. So what happens in the case of A? What is the first word? Rashly. Now, expert is a person who knows his job well, who does it very properly. Rashly means a person who does things in a rush. So obviously that word is wrong. It doesn't mean the same. So you should understand one thing. When the first word is wrong, you can actually delete that option because we need both the words to be correct. We can't have just one word right and the other word wrong. So basically option A is deleted because the first word is wrong. So we don't even have to look at the second word. We can, but then. Look at the second option, well. Now, well is okay because one of the synonyms for expert is somebody who does something well. So, the bus was driven so well. So, the first word is right. Let us look at option C. The bus was driven so badly. Badly is wrong because it's not a synonym of expert. So, we can delete option C. What about D? Skillfully. So, expert, somebody who does a job expertly and skillfully. So, that seems to be correct. So, now out of 5, we have only 2 options left, B and D. First word we have handled, let us move on to the second word. So, the driver was driving so well that the passengers could hardly sense the movement. Because when the bus is moving on the road, there might be stones, there might be puddles, but the passengers could not feel it because it was so smooth. So let us look at words which mean the same as sense. So in option B, what is the second word? Imagine. Now imagine is something very theoretical. When you're going in a bus, you actually feel the motion. You feel the movement. You don't imagine. What is the second option for D? Feel. The passengers could hardly feel the movement. So that is the right answer. So B is deleted and we are left with option D, which is skillfully and feel. Now if you put these words in the sentence, the bus was driven so skillfully that the passengers could hardly sense the movement, feel the movement over stones and puddles. So the answer now is skillfully feel, option D. I hope you are understanding this. Now we move on to one more sentence. She was very grateful for his timely help and decided to reward him handsomely. 2 words, grateful, handsomely. Now when you read this, what do you feel? She was very grateful because when somebody helps you, and what kind of help was it? Timely help. When the person needed help, when the lady needed help, she was given that help. So she was very grateful for his timely help. So what did she decide to do? She decided to reward him handsomely. So if you understand the logic or the context, what's the meaning of handsomely? Handsome may be good looking, but handsomely means generously. But she's very happy, she's very grateful. So she decided to reward him handsomely. So when we are looking for words, we want to look for words which are synonyms of grateful and handsomely. So let us look at the options. Option A, we are looking for grateful, sorry. So sorry is not a synonym, so we can delete option A. What about B? Thankful. Well, thankful is a synonym of grateful. It means the same. But what about C? Angry. She was very angry. When somebody helps you, you're not angry. So C is not the option. She was very appreciative. Appreciative is good because it means something like grateful. You appreciate when somebody helps you. So that is okay. And we have no replacement required. So we have 3 options left. Let us move on to the second word, handsomely. So we take option B. She was very thankful for his timely help and decided to reward him enough. Now, enough has a different meaning. Enough means just adequate, whereas handsomely means generously. So B is not the right answer. What about D? She was very appreciative, but here also there is a mistake because the word which comes after that is for. You don't say she was very appreciative for, appreciative of. So that is wrong, and decided to reward him sufficient. That is obviously wrong, so that is gone. So what are we left with? No replacement required. Why? Because the words which have been put in there are appropriate, they are good, they convey the meaning properly. She was very grateful for his timely help and decided to reward him handsomely. So what is the answer? The answer is E, no replacement required. So that is your option, the correct option. Now we move on to one more sentence. If he had taken one more step forward, he would have fallen into the ditch. Now, when you read it, you know there is a mistake. Where do you think the mistake is? If he had taken one more step forward, that seems to be okay. He would have fallen into the ditch, doesn't seem to be okay. So we need to have a change. So no replacement required, option E. It doesn't really apply here. We are left with 4 options. So let us look for a word which means something like more, one more. So what is the first option A? First word is additional. We have taken one additional step forward. That's okay. Option B, less. We have taken one less step forward. That is wrong. So we delete option B. Third, increasing. If you have taken one increasing step forward, that's not right. So we delete it. And we have option D now, extra. If you have taken one extra step forward, well, one more, one extra. Okay, let's try it out. We move on to the second word. He would have fallen into the ditch. So what is option A? Fallen. He would have fallen into the ditch. What is option D? He would have fallen into the ditch. Falling is not the right answer. So D goes out and we are left with option A. If he had taken one additional step forward, he would have fallen into the ditch. So that is the answer. We have option A, additional, fallen. I hope you have understood this. Now we will move on to the next type of sentence, which is usually asked for the bank exam prep, which is 3 words which have been highlighted. Now this becomes more difficult as we move forward because you really need to understand the meaning of the sentence. Now there are 3 words which have been highlighted or underlined or put within quotes, and you need to look for suitable words which can be used in that place. Let's read the sentence. The goal of economic self-sufficiency is not only easy to achieve, particularly for less developed countries, but also unrealistic in the present age of globalization. Now, it's a long sentence. You need to understand the meaning. Read it carefully. What are the 3 words which have been highlighted? One is goal, then easy, and the third is unrealistic. So we have to look for words which mean the same. Let's take the first word, goal. What's the meaning of goal? Now you have a goal. What is your goal? You are appearing for an exam. Your goal is to pass the exam and to get a job. So that is your objective. So we look for synonyms for that word goal. So let us look at option A. What are the words which have been given? The age. Now, is the meaning of goal and age the same? No. Age doesn't mean goal. So actually you can directly delete option A there. Because if one word is wrong, the others we don't even have to consider. We need all the 3 words to be correct. What is the second option? B. Vision. Vision is something like that, but it's more theoretical. Goal is very clear. This is my goal. This is my objective. But I say my vision is like this. It is more of a theoretical concept. If you want, you can keep that option open or you can delete it. Let's keep it open. See option C, objective. So goal and objective means the same. So let us leave C. What is D? Aim. Aim is also the same as goal. So see how we have found synonyms here. Goal, objective, aim. And E is no replacement required. So that we keep it there. Now we move on to the next word, easy. But when you look at the word easy, you have to read the sentence. The goal of economic self-sufficiency is not only easy to achieve. That means it is said that it is easy to achieve. But actually speaking, for less developed countries, is it easy to achieve economic self-sufficiency? No. So actually the word there is not right. The word easy is not right there because economic self-sufficiency means you can manage everything on your own. You are not dependent on other countries. Now this is not easy to achieve, it is difficult. So actually now what we are looking for is not synonyms for easy, but antonyms. We are looking for a word which means the opposite of easy. So when you look at the second word, we have to look at something which is having a meaning opposite to easy. So let's see option B. What is option B? Difficulty. So the goal of economic self-sufficiency is not only difficulty to achieve. Now here the word is difficult, but it is difficulty to achieve. So we have to think about it. What is C? Difficult. It's not only difficult to achieve. So that is a proper word there. If you look at option D, what is it? It is not only tough to achieve. Tough is also okay. Difficult, tough. Difficulty is not right. So we delete option B. And what about this? No replacement required. That's not right because we need to change that easy there. So E has also gone. So we are left with C and D. Let's move on to the third word. So the goal of economic self-sufficiency is not only easy to achieve, particularly for less developed countries, but also unrealistic in the present age of globalization. Unrealistic. Now look for synonyms for this. What does option C give you? It gives you impractical. Unrealistic, impractical. Well, they mean almost the same. What is D? It gives you the word unattainable. Now, unattainable is something different. It is something which cannot be attained. But here we are saying, well, it is very difficult to achieve it. So actually, D is not the right word. We have impractical, which is a better word. So now if you put in these words in the sentence, we read it again. The objective of economic self-sufficiency is not only difficult to achieve, particularly for less developed countries, but also impractical in the present age of globalization. This is the correct sentence. So what is your answer now? Answer is C. That means objective, difficult, impractical. Now we are doing this for the first time. You might find it difficult, but then let's have one more sentence. Taxation can not only help to reduce economic disparities in the country, but also raise money for developmental projects. Now, three words: reduce, disparities, raise. Let's look for the options. So in the first case, we have to see reduce. Taxation can not only help to reduce. Reduce. What is the first option? A. Widen. Reduce is to lessen something. Widen is to increase. So it is different. We delete option A. What is B? The first word, diminishing. So can not only help to diminishing economic. Diminish is okay. Diminishing is not right. So B is deleted. C, first word, lower. Can not only help to lower. Lower is okay. What is D? First word, lessen. Lessen also means to reduce. So that is okay. And we have kept no replacement required there. So out of 5, we have 3 options left. Economic disparities in the country. What's the meaning of disparities? Disparity means inequality. Like we have the rich and the poor, we have the developed regions, undeveloped regions. So we have inequality. That's the meaning of disparity. So look for some words which mean the same. So if you see option C, the second word is levels. So taxation can not only help to reduce economic levels. Now what do you mean by reduce economic levels? It doesn't convey a proper meaning. So therefore we can say it's not right. What about option D? It says imbalances. So disparities and imbalances. Okay, they mean almost the same. There is an imbalance, there is an inequality. So that's so far so good. Now we move on to the third word, but also raise money for development projects. Because when you have taxation and you get money from the people, the government uses that money for development projects. So to raise money. What is the option given? Option D, last word, afford. Now, afford, it doesn't have the same meaning as raise. Raise means to increase. So, to generate, it doesn't mean afford. That means the third word is wrong. So what happens? Option D is also deleted now. So what are we left with? We are left with the last option E, no replacement required. Why do you say that? Because the words which have been used are fine. Taxation can not only help to reduce economic disparities in the country, but also raise money for development projects. So that is right. So your answer or your option is E, no replacement required. And we see one more question now, one more sentence. While the need to conserve non-renewable energy is widely acknowledged, the use of renewable energy in the world is limited due to lacking of resources and technology. Now, when you read this, I'm sure, you'll feel that while the need to conserve, that's the first word, seems to be okay. Conserve non-renewable energy is widely acknowledged. That also seems to be okay. The use of renewable energy in the world is limited due to lacking of resources. Lacking is not the right word. So when you know that there is an error in the sentence, the last option E automatically you have to ignore because you need to replace that word, which is wrong. Now we have 4 options left. Let's go back to the first word. While the need to conserve non-renewable energy. Now if you understand the meaning, non-renewable, the energy cannot be renewed. So what do you have to do? You have to conserve. So what's the meaning of conserve? It is to preserve it, to save it, to keep it, and not spend the whole thing or exhaust it. So let us see whether the words are okay. Option A, increase. See, when it is non-renewable energy and we are trying to conserve, the meaning of cannot be increase. Increase is the wrong word. It doesn't mean conserve. So the first option A is not right. Option B, first word, save. While the need to save non-renewable energy. Okay, save is okay, conserve. What about C, preserve? Preserve is okay because preserve is a synonym of conserve. Option D, enlarge. Enlarge is like increase, increase. So that is not right. That's not a synonym of conserve. So option D is gone. Now we have B and C left. We move on to the second word, acknowledge. So while the need to conserve non-renewable energy is widely acknowledged. What's the meaning of acknowledged? Look at the options. Option B, second word, accepted. That's okay. Option C, recognized. That's okay. So both are okay. So we are still left with 2 options. We move on to the third. The use of renewable energy in the world is limited due to lacking of resources. Instead of lacking, What is the option B? Third word, limited. Due to limited of resources and technology. That's not right. Yes, resources and technology are limited, but it is already given in the sentence. The use of renewable energy in the world is limited. You can't use the same word again due to limited. So that is wrong. Doesn't fit in well there. What is option C? Third word, shortage. Due to shortage of resources and technology. So now we have all the three words which match. So if we replace them, what happens? While the need to preserve non-renewable energy is widely recognized, the use of renewable energy in the world is limited due to shortage of resources and technology. So what is the option? The correct option is C, preserve, recognized, shortage. So I hope you have understood, but this is the kind of question you will get in your exam where you have three options. You have three words which have been highlighted, and then you have to choose the right words. So let us see what are the words. Now you see, as we went through the different sentences, there were so many words which were used there. Some were highlighted, some were part of the options, and we discussed the meanings. So now through this session, you have learned a number of keywords. The words have been given there now. If you look on the screen, and the meanings have been given there. So these are the words, about 20 words that you have learned just by listening to this video. So stay tuned for more prep and practice sessions, and subscribe to TeachYaar.